You know, I am man enough to admit when I was wrong, and this week I'm pretty sure Knott's proved that much of me. However, I do think I redeemed myself by being right about something else. So let's go ahead and head into the cave and talk about all the things that we found this week.
Well, another week going by, and Scary Farm is slowly but surely starting to tighten the screws a little bit around the park, leading up to the announcement event next Thursday. There are still some questions, obviously. There's always questions, but we're hoping that those will all be answered within a week. All that being said, let's do the housekeeping. So, to a lot of people's dismay, it was announced on Twitter via a reply to somebody's comment. And by Twitter, I mean X. They're not going to bring back the Beyond the Fog Lights On tours this year. That tend to upset a lot of people, but we'll go over all of the stuff that entails the VIP tour at a later date. For now, let's get into what actually popped up here in these last couple days. Knott's released more tickets for the announcement event, and they promptly sold out within 5 to 10 minutes. A lot of people, again, had trouble getting the tickets on the website. I guess the big deal with this one was people were allowed to put them in the cart. They were allowed to put in their payment information. And in a lot of cases, they bought the tickets and were promptly given a refund and told, no, we're sold out already. So this was kind of the gesture was good, but the execution kind of fell through a little bit. So on Knott's website, they put this map of all of the things that are going to be available from 7 to 10 on August 24th. The entrance and the exit for this event is all happening on Western. So the parking is going to be in the Western lot, probably in that grass next to the employee parking. And then the entrance is right across the street there. There's the crosswalk to get there. They're not going to let you in the main entrance over on Grand. So very important information there. You don't want to end up on the wrong side of the park. I don't know if 3 hours is enough to fill this, but basically everything, every food cart that is available on that side of the park is going to be open. They're opening Miners Mac and Spuds. The Charleston Circle little Starbucks area is going to be open. Sutter's is going to be open, both the Tots and the restaurant. They have the Little Railroad Bar is going to be open. So maybe a couple adult beverages might be on the agenda.
Is it Ghost Town Bakery?
Yeah, Ghost Town Bakery. Ghost Town Bakery is open. And as well as places to eat, obviously, Ghost Rider and Pony Express are going to be open for the guests to ride. They have a History of Not Scary Farm presentation a couple times going on in the Birdcage Theater that night. And, obviously the big presentation, which will be at 7. All scattered kind of all through that portion of the park also. There's going to be a bunch of character photo ops. So lots of characters that are going to be involved in Scary Farm this year will be available for you to take a picture with them. There's going to be a trivia at the Fireman's Barbecue stage, and as well as the wardrobe walkthrough is going to be up at the town hall. Something that we noticed on this map too that was not really brought up at all at any point between Midsummer Scream and now is the Origins Lights On walkthrough, which is kind of a cool little bonus, and it's going to get a lot more people excited about an event that a lot of people are excited about. Walking around the park, there's a lot of lights still popping up all over the place. There are fog machines that are now starting to show up throughout the park, which means that we are getting very, very close now. We're still waiting for the netting to show up over Ghost Town. We're assuming that that's going to be happening probably next week. It was this time last year, probably around late August, that they put the netting up above I'm sorry, I almost thwacked you right in there. And also there's this projector that I'm sure it was there last year. I don't remember it being there, and it's been there for months now. But I don't remember what it was projecting last year. That's projecting onto the side of the Red Barn, the Wilderness Dance Hall to you purists out there. I've always just called it the Red Barn. The Legacy Store. I have no clue. Your guess is as good as mine as to how they're going to funnel people in and out of this during Scary Farm hours. It's obviously going to be sharing that pathway with Waxworks. However, I don't know how it's going to do it because, like I said last week, the logistics of the Waxworks line is so wonky that adding a queue to even another attraction there, not necessarily stanchions for a line, but just a pathway to get to the Legacy store. I don't know how they're going to do that yet without kind of crossing up the lines for Waxworks. I'm sure they have plans. Obviously, they have plans for this. These are all just educated guesses.
Speculation.
This is all speculation, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just throwing things against a wall. So where the Pumpkin Eater Maze is going to be, there was a lot of additions this week. Last week, I noticed the spiders. The spiders are still there, and I think that's because they're pretty much done with this back end of the maze here, and they've moved on to the front. If you take the stagecoach over that bridge and look down to the left-hand side, you'll see all this stuff starting to pop up now. There's this crazy tower thing that's going up. They've got all these walls that are painted now. There's these yellow walls. It looks like everything is disconnected from each other, and it's reinforcing more and more of the rumors that this is probably going to be the tribute maze, the legacy maze. And I, in fact, was wrong about it not being the legacy maze. And it also means that there's a possibility that what's going in here is going to change next year. I don't know how they're going to tie it in with any kind of scare zone since the Hollow's not coming back. Now, that being said, speaking of scare zones, I know I said on here a few times that there were hints that Forsaken Lake was going to be gone. But, surprise, ta-da, Forsaken Lake props have shown up on the right side if you're going over that same stagecoach path. So it's only a matter of time before those start popping up down through the pathway to Fiesta Village. I don't remember the actual name. Looking around the Boardwalk Ballroom, there's nothing there. I tried to look through the exit door. It's just wood. I went up in the Sky Cabin. Faux brick walls are still there. It looks like they're being used for stuff, and it looks like they're obviously progressing on the building of the maze. But your guess is as good as mine as to what's going on in here. This is a complete mystery, which is a good thing. I know a lot of people don't like having things spoiled for them. So the Boardwalk Ballroom will not be spoiled for you until next week when they announce what it's going to be. Inside the arcade, a lot of people were saying that this was indeed going to be the exit to the maze that's underneath there. And they are correct. When you make that final turn out to the exit there, they are setting up for a final scare. There's a little cove that something's going to happen there. But a lot of people were wondering where the entrance was going to be. And I think I solved that mystery this week. Just around the corner there to where those restrooms are, if you look around the side there, there's lights that are pointing at a barn door. And all these ropes and stanchions are set up just throughout the shrubbery there that they're going to get ready to line up along the railroad, much like they do for the queue for Mesmer. There's also a lot of lights on the ground there to make sure that they illuminate that path and make sure that people know that this is where you go. So they probably are indeed going to wrap around the railroad tracks around the bumper cars there, and the entrance will be inside that barn door just around the backside. But also speaking of the arcade, they're starting to make room for the Into the Fog art display that they have inside the factory store there. So they're probably going to start bringing out the art here very soon. But that's definitely coming back to where it was last year. Other than that, there's nothing else really to talk about this week. Obviously, this is the last week that we're going to have to speculate, really, and just throw darts in the dark for the most part. We're going to keep our ears open and our eyes peeled, do our best to pick up the breadcrumbs as they give them to us, and we'll talk to you again next week.